What do you do when you don't get what you want and you get a lot of what you don't want? Or when you have a traumatic reaction to things based upon your history or your unresolved grief and pain? Well, the first thing that I try to do is to acknowledge it. As you know, I only speak about things that I'm working on, not as an expert, but in a conversation with everyone who's interested in non-duality and recognizing that some of these patterns we have are unhealthy, particularly for people with Parkinson's. If you live in that jacked up, hyper-aware, hyper-vigilant state, your disease will advance. It'll also cause some isolation, which is painful and unnecessary. So to communicate better with our loved ones and to unhook that triggered response to say something different than, you did this to me, you've triggered me, this is your fault, why would you do this to me? That's a lazy reaction. That means we're not doing the work. That means I'm not doing the work when I react that way. Because nothing's about me. If I have self-love and self-compassion, and I believe I'm worthy of love, then why would anything anybody does matter to me personally or be a reflection upon my self-worth? So the difference here in my work that I've been doing forever is that I've learned how to love and have more compassion for myself so that the next time something happens that disappoints me and upsets me, I won't take it personally, and I can reflect upon my own reaction and work with that. That's all I can do, to say, I wonder what's going on there. Like when the person who was supposed to fix my sink doesn't show up for weeks and it's overflowing and I'm getting increasingly frustrated, and I've said to them many times, I could have hired someone else. Why didn't you just tell me? I then become curious. Instead of having a story about them not being a good handy person, I ask questions. Hey, what happened? Turns out they were in an accident. They had a loved one who was very sick. They were struggling on a mighty level that I can't even imagine. There's no need to storyline and make up a story about how they're a bad person, about how they ignored me. Or, for example, I had a friend who wanted me to meet her at a specific time. She had scheduled this whole class she was taking in my area so she could see me. And she had this expectation of me being somewhere without realizing that I'm actually handicapped sometimes, especially when I'm having an off time, which means I'm incapacitated and that I can only hit it during a certain period of time, and then I turn into Cinderella again. So the choices I'm making during my on times might not be a reflection of how I feel about her, and most certainly they're not. But why become angry and vicious and blame the other person just because you don't feel worthy, because you've allowed them to hurt you, because you think that's a reflection of you? It's not. It's a reflection of something that you have no idea about. So ask questions of others rather than storylining. Be curious rather than judgmental and reactive whenever possible. That's the idea, right? I point to the work of Dr. Gabor Mate. He has informed so much of my work too, because he works with the hungry ghosts of addiction. He works with childhood trauma and unhooking that trauma and remembering that nothing is really about us when it comes to other people. We can have that self-compassion and then work with it. We can question everything. We can get to the root of our own responses to the outside stimuli, to everything that's coming in. And with Parkinson's, we have chemical problems. We have some mental health challenges. We have a lot of non-motor symptoms that are brutalizing. The chronic pain that changes us is very real. And communicating with people around us is vital. Isolation and saying that everybody sucks or nobody understands us is not going to work. That's dualistic thinking. That's dangerous for us. So if you want to talk about health and the management of a disease, work on unhooking the traumas that cause our stress responses, that force us into a place of taking things personally. And you will find better health. You will find more ease. You'll find that you can move into that nervous system where you're digesting and calm and reasonable, and you have enough energy left, because it's exhausting to be in that hyper-aware state where there's always a perceived threat. What if the only threat is our thinking? What if everything everybody does is about them and their story? Right? So this is more of a discussion, not a lecture. I really want to know how you deal with these challenges. To be continued. I'm interested. Can't wait to talk with you.